Welcome everyone to today's episode of the Decimal of the Day show. Let's hear it for your host, Mrs. Salyer. Okay, I'm not hearing you. Clap, cheer for Mrs. Salyer, your host. Wonderful. Now, I know that there are no bumps on pickles out there just sitting there. However, if you have forgotten to get your math journal and your paper, click on pause and go do that right now, please. You're ready to work. Fifth graders rock. That's what I love about them. They're so motivated. This is today's decimal of the day. What I would like for you to do is to push pause, and I want you to do two things. I want you to write it in word form. Don't forget, you have to say it first before you can write it. And I also want you to go ahead and write it in expanded form. Do those two things, then unpause, come back, and we'll go over the answers. It is so good to see you back. You first have to say the decimal number before you're able to write it in word form. So, I see a whole number here, 36. And I'm sure what you've written down was 36. We all know that the decimal point says what? A little bit louder. Yes, it says and. Now we're going to look for that decimal's first name, and that's just the number that we see, 453. So, I'm going to write 453. And remember, a decimal's last name is the value of the last place value spot. You probably have already memorized by now, tenths, hundredths, thousandths. You may look back on your reference sheet to know that it is, there we go, it's the letter, thousandths. Or you can remember the trick about writing a 1 right here in the zeros. I see 1,000 over top, so that lets me know that it is thousandths. I'm going to bring a volunteer up from the audience to help me with expanded form. Let me see if I can get someone to assist us here today. Oh, come on up. Come on up. It's so good for you to be here today. Yes, it is. Hi, everybody. My name is Matilda. Well, Matilda, we're so glad to have... No? No, it's Mathilda, because I love mathematics. I have naturally curly hair. Yeah, we see your naturally curly hair. I'm not quite sure what it has to do with mathematics today. So your name is Mathilda. And you're going to help us with expanded form? Oh, yes. Expanded form looks like it would be really hard, but actually it's quite easy. And you know what? It's really funny when people say, ha, you're doing really hard work, when I'm really not doing hard work at all. I think it's fun. Well, I'm glad you think it's so fun. So will you talk us through what we need to do here? Okay. You do the whole numbers first. Okay, whole numbers first. Can you help me out here? I need the lid off my marker. That's not working out so well. Hang on, we have some technical difficulty. There we go. So, there's a 3 in the tens place. You're going to put 3 times 10. Okay, Mathilda says that we want to do 3 times 10. And we're putting these parentheses to section off the different place values. Okay, Mathilda, tell me what's next. Okay, then you do 6 times 1. Then you're getting ready to do the decimals, and you write the decimals as fractions that end in multiples of 10, like 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, a million, 10 million. We're not going that big, so that's okay. We're going to stop right there. So you said I would do 4 times 1/10 plus 5 times 1/100th plus 3 times 1 1,000th. I bet all those boys and girls out there in computer land, I bet they all got it right. Okay, well, Mathilda, I'm going to let you go back over here and have a seat in the audience. Maybe you'll come back up and help us a little bit later. I have naturally curly hair. Yes, we all know that you have naturally curly hair, and it's very nice. Thank you, Mathilda, for joining us today. What a nice girl that was, and she seemed to know so much about mathematics. Isn't that interesting? Now what I want you to do, we're going to add and subtract our decimal number. Remember that you have to set it up vertically, even if it's written horizontally. So I want you to go ahead on your paper and let's set our problem up. Remember, the number one rule when you're adding decimals is you line the decimals up, not the numbers. If you were adding 5.7, you wouldn't write it like that and line the numbers up. Some of you are still getting these wrong because you're not lining the decimal points up. So if you're adding 5 7/10, it's those decimals that needs to be lined up. And you're going to put your zeros in right here, okay? Now, what are you going to say to that decimal? Yes, I think I heard one of my Jefferson students say it. You're going to tell it to shut up and come straight down. Because that decimal point is sitting there, and it's saying something to you. How about one of my Washington students out there? What's it saying? Yes, you're exactly right. It's saying, nah, 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 I'm going to mess you up. Don't let it mess you up. Bring it straight down. Now I want you to click pause, and I want you to add this problem and then come back, unpause, and we'll check your answer. Okay, 7 plus 0 is 7. 5 plus 0 is 5. 4 plus 7 is 11. 6 plus 5 is 11. Plus 1 is 12. And 3 plus 1 is 4. So the answer that you should have gotten was 42 and 157 thousandths. I'm sure all of you have it correct. Now we're going to do a subtraction problem. Set your problem up on your paper just like I'm doing right here. 36 and 453 thousandths minus 4 thousandths. Go ahead, click pause, work that problem out, and then come back and we'll check the answer. Okay, now as we look at this problem, the decimal's sitting there, and you know it's saying, nah, 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 I'm going to mess you up. So you're simply going to tell it to shut up and come on down. Now you're going to subtract like it isn't even there. Well, if we were doing negative numbers, we could say 3 take away 4. What would the answer to that be? If it's 3 degrees outside and it drops 4 degrees, yes, one of my Johnson students, I just heard you say it would be -1. You are correct, but since we're not doing negative numbers right now, that's something you learn in 6th grade, we're going to go ahead and regroup. Which makes it 13 minus 4, which is 9. 4 minus 0 is 4. 4 minus 0 is 4. 6 minus nothing is 6. 3 minus nothing is 3. And your answer should be 36 and 449 thousandths. So you're doing so well with decimals, I'm going to throw something new at you that you haven't had before. So right now I just want you to listen, and we're going to talk about how we might do this. What if we had this number times 10? And then we had this number times 100. And then we had this number times 1,000. The first thing I want you to think about is what you know about multiplying. If you're multiplying a number, it's getting bigger. And every time you come over one place value to the left, the number's getting bigger by 10. So we want this number to be bigger by 10. That means this 4 has to come over one place value. So the thing that helps my brain is when a decimal is getting bigger, the decimal point is going in this direction. It's by 10, that's one time over. So I know that I'm going to move that decimal point over one time, and all the other numbers stay the same. So if I'm multiplying by 100, it's getting bigger by 2 place values, which means that both the 4 and the 5 need to come over, and the decimal point would be over here. Now, if the number's getting bigger by 1,000, that means that I'm adding 3 digits because there's 3 zeros. So I'm going to move this decimal point over 3 zeros. 1, 2, 3. So my final answer will be 36,553. I can put the decimal point there, or it would be correct to leave it off. So we've talked about something new today, how to multiply decimals by multiples of 10. We're going to continue working on that. Tomorrow I'm going to ask you to think about and try some of these on your own. But for today, that concludes our Decimal of the Day show. Thank you so much. Make sure that you get your tickets for the show tomorrow. I wouldn't want you to miss. I may not be able to be here, which means that you may have a guest MC for the show tomorrow. Be sure to tune in and find out who it is. Bye, everybody.